Hey everyone, Emily here and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making another air fryer recipe, and this is one of my absolute favorite things to make in the air fryer. It's a quick and easy recipe for teriyaki salmon bites. This only takes a few minutes of actual prep time and less than 10 minutes in the air fryer. So you can have this on the table in about 30 minutes from start to finish. Let's get started with this and I'll show you how to put it together. We're going to start off with the sauce, and if you want to make this even easier on yourself, you can just pick your favorite teriyaki sauce, but this is a super easy one to throw together. We're going to make this right in the measuring cup and cut down on a few dishes, and we're going to start off with a little bit of pineapple juice. Now if you want, you can also use orange juice for this. This would go really great. I'm going to use pineapple juice because I like the flavor, and you'll just need about a quarter cup of that. To our pineapple juice, directly into the measuring cup, we're going to top that off with another quarter cup of soy sauce and an additional quarter cup of water. So equal parts if you want to make a little bit more of this. To our liquid, we're going to start to add in a little bit more seasoning. I'll add in about a teaspoon of ginger. You can certainly use the fresh kind, but I'm just going to be using the paste. Cuts down on a little bit of that prep, and I don't use ginger that often, so this is just super easy to keep in the fridge. We'll add in about a half teaspoon to 1 full teaspoon of sesame oil. That does add flavor, so if you don't have sesame oil, no need to add an additional oil. This is all for the flavor. I like mine to be a little bit spicy, so I'm going to add in some sriracha. You can add this in or not, depending on your taste. And also 1 garlic clove. To make this a little bit easier on myself, I'm using a garlic press, but just give that a fine mince if you don't have one. Lastly, I'm going to add in a couple of teaspoons to a tablespoon of honey. Once again, just do this to your taste. And then give this all a good mix. This is going to be both our salmon marinade and our sauce a little bit later on, so we'll be adding in some cornstarch in a little bit, but for now, just set this aside. And before I put my salmon on the cutting board, I'm going to chop up a few green onions, and we're going to use those later on as garnish. Now that we have our sauce prepared, I'm going to move on to my salmon. I have a little over a half a pound of a salmon fillet here. I'm going to start off by carefully removing the skin of the salmon. Once I have the skin removed, I'm going to just pat the salmon fillet dry. Now we're going to cut this into bite-sized pieces. This is really what allows this to cook up so quickly in the air fryer. And we'll place our pieces of salmon right into a bag to marinate. Top that off with a little less than half of our marinade. As you seal up the bag, give that a press to let out any extra air. And we're going to set this aside in the fridge to marinate for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Most of the work is already done. We're just going to turn our marinade into a sauce and then get ready to pop those salmon bites into the air fryer. In order to do this, it's super easy. You're just going to get a little bit of water and mix that in with cornstarch. I added just a couple of teaspoons, maybe a tablespoon of water into a little bowl. It's important to mix the water and the cornstarch separately from the rest of the marinade to avoid clumping when you add it in. So add in about a teaspoon or so of cornstarch to that water. Give that a good mix. And when that's completely dissolved, pour that directly into your marinade. Set this aside for now, and we can thicken this up on the stove or even in the microwave while our salmon bites cook in the air fryer. So let's get those out and get those started. They'll only take a few minutes. My salmon bites are finished marinating and they're ready for the air fryer. I'm going to place a small piece of parchment paper down in the bottom of mine just to keep everything from sticking. This is an optional step, but I just like an easy cleanup. And then we're going to go in and place our salmon bites directly on the tray. As you're doing this, be careful not to overcrowd your air fryer. You want this to be in a single layer so everything gets nice and crispy and caramelized. There's the last one. I'm going to toss this. We're not going to reuse this marinade. Keep that separate from the one that you're going to throw together on the stove. That's all there is to it. We're going to pop this into the air fryer and cook this for 6 minutes on 400 degrees. That's all it takes. And now we can work on heating up our marinade and turning that into a sauce. While our salmon bites are in the air fryer, I'm going to turn this marinade into a sauce. We've already mixed in our cornstarch mixture. I'm going to pour this into a pan over medium-high heat and let that thicken up. Don't let this sit on the stove for too long unattended. Occasionally give that a stir. This is going to thicken up very quickly and you don't want it to start sticking to the bottom of the pan. You'll notice as we're stirring and as this is heating up, this is going from kind of cloudy from that cornstarch into a clear mixture. It's all incorporating together and this is a sign that it's about to start getting pretty thick. Once you can drag your spoon across and you kind of see that space created behind it, you know that your sauce is thick enough. This is going to easily coat our salmon bites and we're ready to toss these in. So turn down the heat and set this aside. The timer for my salmon bites just went off, so let's see how these are looking. They smell amazing. All right, they look perfect. A little bit browned on the edges, but doesn't look like anything's overcooked. Let's test one and see if it's cooked through. And it is, so these are ready to go into the sauce. Here's a closer look at those salmon bites. You can see they're browned on the edges, not too overcooked though. We're going to pop these right into the sauce. That has been staying warm on the stove, but I've turned down the heat so it's not going to overcook or stick to the pan. Once you've added the salmon bites back in, you can turn your heat back up and we're going to let that cook in the sauce and bubble up for just a couple of minutes. You'll just give these a gentle toss around so that everything's coated and these are going to be ready to serve. I'm serving mine over rice. Just gonna pour in some of that remaining sauce on the top. And finally, sprinkle that with some of those green onions that we chopped up earlier. All right, that's all there is to it. So let's give this a taste and see how it turned out. This came out amazing. This is why salmon is one of my favorite things to make in the air fryer. It comes out perfect every time. It's not overcooked, the sauce is going great with everything, and like I said, if you want to make this even easier on yourself, you can just use some store-bought teriyaki sauce. This is super easy to put together in just a few minutes, and air fryer recipes in the summer are one of my favorite go-tos. You don't heat up the entire kitchen, and they're done super quickly. So I would definitely do this again, and I do it often. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this recipe, you can find more air fryer recipes just like this one in the playlist that I have linked over to the side. I hope you leave a like and leave a comment, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you can get notified every single time I post. As always, you can find the full recipe in the description box down below, as well as links to all of the products that I used in this video and some of my favorites on my Amazon page, as well as all of my social media pages. I hope to see you back here next time.